Hey everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Sun Valley Special. And what a truck to begin with.
Now, this is the 2014 Ford SVT Raptor, and in 2014, not only was it the segment leader, I believe it was the only car in its class. Ford had designed basically a desert racer for everyday use.
Now, our experience from driving off-road vehicles comes from you owning a Range Rover HSE and from me having a Lexus GX470 in the family. So I think experiencing something like this is definitely going to be awesome.
Now, let's start off with a couple of the basic specs. The 2014 SVT Raptor is equipped with a 6.2-liter single overhead cam V8 that produces 411 horsepower and 434 foot-pounds of torque. Now, this V8 is then mated to a 6-speed automatic. And well, this automatic isn't the quickest. It has to be strong for towing capabilities and just the beating that it's going to take.
Yeah, and what's really interesting to note is that when you open up the hood, you see a nice simple V8, and there's just so much space to put your hands in there and work with. And if you compare this engine to the brand new twin turbo V6 in the 2017 Ford Raptor, that engine needs more cooling components. For instance, it needs a intercooler at the front. Whereas this, you just have a simple radiator and you have all this space where you can actually put a winch in here, and that's vital for off-roading. Now let's get to the best part about this truck, and that's the off-road hardware. Essentially what you have is a Torsen limited slip differential at the front, and you also have a locking limited slip differential at the rear. And all around, you get box racing shocks. And at the front you get 11.2 inches of travel, and at the rear you get 12.1.
Now, what Ford has basically done is offer enthusiasts the best of both worlds. Not only do you get the locking diffs and the amazing suspension, this is all paired to a simple brute American V8 that you know won't go wrong.
And essentially, this car is super easy to off-road, as you will see in the clips. So, let's see how it drives. So what a way to start off our weekend in Sun Valley in a 2014 SVT Ford Raptor.
Yeah, this is an amazing off-road vehicle. Earlier today, we went out into the valley, did a bit of light off-roading just to test if the suspension really lives up to the hype.
Now, we'll talk about off-roading later, but I think we should start off with city driving. And what's your take on city driving with this Ford Raptor?
So the Raptor actually really surprised me. I've driven a couple of base F-150s and a couple small little trucks, and this handles nothing like them. I mean, the suspension is so comfortable, and for me it really feels like you're driving a car and not a big 5,500-pound truck.
Yeah, and just as a passenger, you have so much space in this cabin, and I mean, all the features you get with this infotainment system, like navigation and all these temperature settings. I mean, you honestly feel like you're in some luxury sedan. I mean, of course there are a few points where you can tell it's a Ford, like the plastic, but I think overall there's a lot of good features here that can make your daily commute really nice.
I have to agree with you there. Well, this car does have a few cheap plastics and things that it shares with the base F-150. I think they've added enough stuff to make it special and very recognizable inside and out that it is not just a base F-150.
Now, we did also get the opportunity to go off-roading today, and what a blast that was. I think there probably couldn't have been a better vehicle stock that we could have gotten today to use. Anyways, what was your take on the off-roading experience today?
So when we were off-roading, it wasn't anything too extreme. However, this thing just soaked it all up with nothing but ease. I mean, we were going up some pretty steep hills, it was very loose and rocky, and we just popped it into 4 high, and there was no slip, there was no uncomfortable feelings. It just felt very solid, and I mean, that's what it was built for. It was built for off-roading, and it's great at that.
Yeah, and it's also worth mentioning that you do get a few off-road systems in the interior. For instance, you get the off-road mode, which basically maps the throttle and the suspension just to hold the revs a bit and to give you a little bit more torque, and it also mitigates the ABS. And also you do get downhill assist control. Now granted, we didn't go down too many steep inclines today, so I felt like we didn't really need to use it, but I feel like, you know, if you come across a steeper gradient, it'll be really handy.
Yeah, definitely. When we were using it today, it was kind of just to test it out and see if it worked. And sure enough, take both feet off the pedals, you got the button pushed down, and it'll slowly apply the brakes and slowly creep down any loose or slippery surfaces at a very careful speed, let's say, and it'll get you where you need to go in one piece 100% of the time. Well, I've been doing a lot of driving, and I've been really enjoying it, but I think after this little straightaway, it's time for you to get behind the wheel and see how she goes. Now, I know for most of the day you've been a passenger while I've been driving, but you did have a little bit of wheel time when we were off-roading and on the public roads. What have your thoughts been as the driver?
So the first thing you notice is how comfortable it is. I mean, these box racing shocks, I think they really do a great job of giving you that comfortable ride you want in the city, and then at the same time they have that good amount of travel when you're off-roading. And like as you said, it's just the inputs in this car, they're so easy. Like for instance, steering, it's not heavy at all. It's not what you would expect from like a heavy-duty truck. It feels a lot more like a sedan, if you ask me, like one of even maybe Ford's normal cars. Throttle-wise, I mean, it's naturally aspirated, and it's so linear, and if you want to put your foot down, you get a good amount of power. You can you can really feel it. And braking's not bad either.
If you have a V8 Raptor, I'm saying you have to hang on to it. The new V6 might be a bit more powerful and more fuel efficient and more luxurious on the interior. However, I think with a truck, you just need a V8. Like, trucks and V8s go together like peanut butter and jelly. It's you know, a V8 was made for a truck, and that's just how it goes.
Yeah, like Ford is definitely pursuing their EcoBoost technology, and you're definitely not going to see less of it. So this naturally aspirated 6.2 liter V8, it's definitely a thing of the past, and I feel like that's probably this car's strong suit. And that's probably what will retain its value, if you ask me. Would you get the new 2018 Ford Raptor with the twin turbo V6, or would you get one of these?
It's a tough choice, as I haven't driven the new one, but I have had the opportunity to sit in it and look at it and kind of, you know, see the reviews online. However, I would probably take one of these plus $40,000 in my pocket. And who knows, maybe I go to Hennessy and get a supercharger, and then I guess the new one is actually slower. I just want to ask you what you think about the racing style steering wheel.
Well, I think it's cool, if you ask me. I mean, you know, this car has a lot of roots to like Baja racing, and you know, it definitely adds a bit of character, and I think it probably adds like what, like 20 horsepower or something like that. No, but seriously though, these are really nice touches that I like about this Ford, and I think it's really key if Ford is trying to differentiate the Raptor from, you know, like a base F-150.
I think that's definitely hitting the nail on the top of the head. It might seem like a gimmick or kind of dumb because, you know, after all, it is a truck. However, it's always the little touches, the little details and differences that can set two very similar cars apart.
Yeah, just like, you know, the SVT badge on the gauge cluster, and also the SVT badge here. Like, you know, you really want to make sure you differentiate your premium product from your base product, really.
I think, in summation, this is one of the best daily drivers that you could possibly buy. It has all-weather capability, it has all-terrain capability, and it's so comfortable, and there's just so much space. And these days, you know, these cars are a couple years old, and they're starting to dip into a reasonable price for a used car.
Alright guys, well on that note, thank you so much for watching the first episode of the Sun Valley Special. There's a lot more to come, so stay tuned. And in the meantime, if you really like this video, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And
We'll see you in the next one.